Want to see gameplay of Gears 5 on Xbox? Don't blink. Might miss it. Have you been waiting since 2016 to see gameplay from Death Stranding? You might want to slow down the footage. Gameplay is the perfect proof of concept for the validity of a new game. So why are developers so gun-shy of showing gameplay of their brand new game? This is Colteastwood. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to look at why devs more and more are afraid to show gameplay too early and why some devs show too much. If you're new to the channel and you've been here a while, hit the join button and subscribe to support the content here, and let's look at what little we've seen of next year's biggest games. Right now, a double standard is running in the gaming community regarding gameplay footage held back for two of the biggest exclusives for 2019. One, a fifth iteration of a flagship franchise for Xbox, Gears 5, and the other, a mysterious thriller for PlayStation from Hideo Kojima, Death Stranding. Let's start with Death Stranding. Originally revealed in 2016, just over 3 years ago on Sony's stage, the first trailer was full of obscurity and symbolism. The expectancy of a Kojima masterpiece was never doubted, and even less was shown in long, secretive trailers each year after. The wonder and mystique was part of the draw of Death Stranding, but what about the gameplay? What does it play like? Is it an interactive experience or a third-person action thriller? Up until 2019, the months before release, no one knew what Death Stranding would play like. And that was never a problem. Much like Red Dead Redemption 2, last year's biggest game from Rockstar, we saw cinematic trailers that painted the look and feel of this masterpiece, but not until the month's release did we actually see gameplay from the player's perspective. No one doubted the power and the appeal of Red Dead Redemption 2, putting faith in Rockstar, who has always delivered an amazing gameplay experience. Now, 5 months before launch, after seeing Death Stranding from the camera's perspective for over 3 years, in cinematics outside of multiple walking sequences, which did not satisfy gameplay needs, 5 months before launch, we've seen several brief seconds of gameplay and combat for Death Stranding. But not quite enough to put the pieces together to fully realize what Death Stranding will offer. And that is part of the appeal of holding back gameplay, to string us along with just enough to keep excitement until it's time to get our hands on the game. Then there is Gears 5. Gears 5 was first officially announced a year ago at E3 2018 with a 5-minute trailer with just 30 combined seconds of gameplay and combat outside of cinematics and animated segues. Nothing was shown for a full year for Gears 5 until 2019, where a hint into Kate's emotional struggle and the Horde-escaped pre-rendered cinematic. Pre-rendered cinematics have fallen out of style in the games industry, with an in-engine cutscene looking just as amazing, with authenticity and truth to show how the game will look for release. To make matters worse, the Coalition did not show a second of Horde Escape gameplay on the stage that day, and no campaign gameplay whatsoever. But everyone who knows Gears of War already knows what to expect from the campaign combat. We expect a third-person cover shooter with brutal, glory combat. And if not, we saw a few short montages in 2018. But still, we want to see gameplay. The Gears 5 campaign boasts a bigger, more open adventure with more twists and turns, and a few new combat additions, so fans are anticipating new gameplay with just 3 months to release. Eager developers anxious to show off their game in action will carefully choreograph a gameplay sequence with perfect timing, the best parts of the world in view, and assets fluttering around the environment to get fans excited to play the game. But in the case of Marvel's Spider-Man on the PS4, pre-release gameplay beamed impressive late-day suncasting, vibrant large reflective puddles, and moody shadows to present the ultimate in immersion. But everyone knows that the fine-tuning and performance optimization happens in the closing months of the game's release, and in the case of Spider-Man, much had changed visually to come to the final version of what we would play at launch. This sprouted Puddlegate. Whether you agree or not that Spider-Man suffered any kind of downgrade is irrelevant, as the industry and developers working for it are wholeheartedly concerned about showing their game too early. In the wake of Ubisoft downgrades and influencers spotlighting the final version of a game as a lie and a trick to get us to buy the game, developers, not all, have chosen to show as little gameplay as the crowd will allow to save them from the same fate that detracts from the overall game, leading to a slump in sales from bad faith and word of mouth. This hasn't stopped tons of developers from showing long sequences of gameplay, giving the audience a sense of confidence in their game and giving customers a complete feeling of how the game will play before they get their controller on it. And this is not the case with Death Stranding and Gears 5. Hideo Kojima and the Coalition are not holding back long gameplay sequences because they are not confident. It's actually the total opposite. The double standard that the Coalition is afraid to show gameplay because the game is going to be a failure, or that Kojima is hiding gameplay because he doesn't think his game will play well. It's a ridiculous premise oft repeated by fanboys that either want to downplay Gears or Death Stranding. For Gears, the Coalition wants to schedule out timed rollouts of each of the game's 5 modes, ending on campaign, saving the best for last. The Coalition is aware that most everyone knows what a Gears game looks and plays like, but the campaign for Gears 5 is heavily tied to a total change-up of the series, with a time change, character perspective shift, and a heavy battle between dark and light, with the new protagonist in Kate. The campaign of Gears 5 is just a cover-based shooter if the story is spoiled or revealed too early. Why does that sound familiar? Death Stranding can be boiled down to a walking simulator with gadget-based contextual environments and third-person shooting if you spoil the allure, secrecy, and ambiguity of Hideo Kojima's storytelling craftwork. This is why for over 3 years, almost no gameplay was shown for Death Stranding. Xbox hasn't had a cinematic wonder in years, not since Gears 4, which had its moments. It definitely looks like Gears 5 is going to be the biggest story-driven, mature single-player game throughout the entire Xbox generation. Death Stranding looks to be yet again just another in the yearly installments of incredible single-player cinematic experiences, something that Xbox hasn't been able to deliver nor seems to have attempted during the first part of the generation. But Gears 5 campaign gameplay will be in full force with something to shake up the formula of what we've played in previous Gears games. And not long after that, Death Stranding will be close to release with undoubtedly more gameplay to show hungry fans. And hopefully, even more mind-bending horror to keep us on the edge of our seats. And in 2019 with a dark, grueling high note. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much for watching. I wanted to end this with my opinion really quick. I don't care to watch trailers, and I usually don't even watch much gameplay for games unless it's just a few seconds. I really feel like it spoils the game, but at the same time, I need to see a good chunk if I don't know how the game is supposed to play. So I guess I'd err on the side of show us as much as you can and let us decide if we'll watch closely. It's a ridiculous double standard that Gears is hiding gameplay while Death Stranding is doing the same thing for the same reason. Either way, I'm excited for both games, and the way both trailers got me excited for the story is something I've been missing for most of the year and far too often on Xbox. If you're new here, consider joining the channel by hitting the join button below and subscribe to the channel for weekly content. Add me on Xbox and Twitter at Colteastwood. Message me if you have any questions. I'll be in this comment section, clearing up anything I might have missed. I'm not perfect. I try to get the best and most accurate information out that clears any bias or inconsistencies about Xbox. I want to be as fair as possible, but people will still fight and throw insults at me or my content. So while you're there, be respectful, be constructive, and most of all, be nice.